UFC Fight Night, Strickland versus Hernandez is this weekend. I'm going to break down every fight so you don't have to. Judas versus Miller. Judas 2-1 in the UFC right now. 2-fight KO streak. She's overall a very good striker. Really good kickboxing. She has good KO power. She is going to put on the pressure on Miller. She's 2-2 in the UFC. She won the Ultimate Fighter. She's okay striking, not the best. She has solid wrestling. Very questionable cardio. She did gas out, I think, in the second round, leading to the third round in her last fight. Like I said, solid. She has a solid first round, then she fades pretty fast. Overall, my pick here is going to be Carly Judas, just by an easy striking masterclass, because there's no way Miller can keep up on the feet. Judas is going to defend the takedowns and just keep beating up Miller. Jordan Leavitt versus Yadir Dalvali. Let's get in with Jordan. Jordan's 5-3 in the UFC. He has solid takedowns. He really likes that single leg, but he has no striking. He's the most one-dimensional fighter on the UFC roster. He doesn't want to strike. He might throw about 6 to 10 strikes a fight. He just can't strike. All he wants to do is wrestle. With Vali, he's riding a 2-fight submission streak. Both came in round 1. He has really good striking, tight boxing defense. He has solid takedowns. He has good takedown defense. Overall, he's a way better fighter here. I think he is probably going to snatch up Jordan's neck, but my pick is Vali. Phil Rowe versus Jean Paul. Let's get with Rowe. Very good striker. He's very tough. He can stay in there for the full 15 minutes while getting beat up, but he also will fire right back at you. He takes his time, finds his shot really well. He's not going to force any shots, not going to make any stupid mistakes. If he goes down rounds, he's going to go right for the finish. He's going to go for that KO. Jean Paul, he's coming off a big KO win on the Dana White's Contender Series, but we didn't really see anything from him. He has solid striking, solid takedowns, but he hasn't versed any very solid competition yet. So I think Phil Rowe will get an easy win here. Well, not easy, but a solid win off of Jean Paul, just because Jean Paul will be able to stay in there with him, but I think Rowe's just going to overall just outclass him here. Ramirez versus Soriano. Ramirez 5-3 in the UFC, 3-fight winning streak. In my opinion, he has a top 3 guillotine in the UFC. Once he gets his opponent's neck, it's over. He's patient striking. He picks his shots very well. Overall, I do think he is the better fighter here. Soriano is coming off a win, but he sucked. That's all I can put it. Like, he had an easy fight against a striker. He wasn't that good, and overall, he could have KO'd him if you want, but he got hit with a couple shots, and then he decided to start wrestling, and that's all he did for 3 rounds. At some points, he was getting out-wrestled by a striker. Can't let that happen. In my opinion, Extreme Couture, I think they ruined him, because he looked really good at the start of his UFC career, but now he's starting to look like every other fighter that trains at Extreme Couture, except for like Strickland and a couple of guys. But it's either Extreme Couture ruins you, turns you into a very boring fighter and just overall, in my opinion, beatable fighters, or you turn into a very solid fighter and have a very solid career at least. Like, you won't be, champ for long. You won't be like a Pantoja or a Marab, that type of thing. You'll be very mid, in my opinion. Soriano does have solid fight IQ, but overall, I think Ramirez is going to snatch up his neck. Soriano is going to get a little too frustrated on the feet, because Ramirez isn't going to want to brawl with him a little bit. So he's going to shoot that takedown. Ramirez is going to get that guillotine. All right, we got Nora, we got Jocelyn. Let's start off with Jocelyn. Jocelyn, solid striking, solid power. She's way better technically. She will counter-strike Nora, but she is going to have to worry about the takedowns. Nora, she did beat Edwards in the first fight. She has a very weird kickboxing style. She uses hammer fists while standing up, which is crazy in my opinion. She will go for takedowns. She can be controlled on the ground, though. If you can get her on the ground, lay on top of her, hit her with a couple shots, you will find success. She is coming off a loss to Carol Rosa, who is a very solid overall fighter. But in this fight, I do think Edwards is going to come in on top. She has improved since their last fight, and I do think she either gets a KO here, but I don't think that's very likely. I do think it will be a decision win, but who knows? KO could be in there. She has been on a tear with the KOs. I think she's on a 2-fight KO streak, I think. But who knows? We got Coria, we got Gurel. Gurel, very solid fighter, but he did lose to Ode. He's light on his feet, lots of kicks, very tough. There's nothing against losing to Ode, but come on, man. In my opinion, he doesn't get it going early enough. He kind of just stands around. He's very technical, but he just doesn't do enough to get the job done. He drops rounds like it's candy. Like, man, he has the potential of being so good, but he just doesn't do what he needs to do. He kind of just stands around. He's taking pictures, looking at the butterflies. Just doesn't do enough to win the fights. Coria, he is coming off a huge win against a minus 325 betting favorite in his last fight. Who the other guy I did have winning, but Coria did capitalize on, I forget his name, but he injured his toe and it got in his head that he couldn't continue, and he kind of just balled up. Nothing against him for doing that, but in my opinion, I feel like he could have lasted a little longer, maybe even try to go for a finish on Coria and then do something with that. But overall, Coria, very good takedowns, very good striking, very good takedown defense. Overall, he's a very solid fighter. He does have skinny legs, but he has a lot of power in those. Don't be fooled by that. Overall, I'm going to go with Coria. He's a way better fighter here, in my opinion. Gurul could come out and win a decision, but it'll be a very close. Some people could call it a robbery decision, but I think it'll be a very close decision, and it'll go to Louis Gurel. But I do think Coria should win this fight 30-27, in my opinion. Unless he gasses himself out, then he'll drop around, kind of coast for one round, and then win a 29-28. Ode Osborne versus Alibi. Alibi coming off a loss to Joseph Morales on The Ultimate Fighter. He uses a lot of spinning kicks and a lot of spinning punches. He just spins a lot. I don't think it's a very good strategy for him, at least at the UFC level, because if you keep showing, opponents that you want to keep spinning, they're gonna know you want to spin, and they're gonna take you down. Overall, he's a solid striker, solid wrestler, but I do think he needs to change up his game plan, at least in this fight, because Ode, he's gonna outbox him, he's gonna outstrike him overall, and he's just gonna put it on him if Alibi doesn't shoot takedowns. If Alibi shoots takedowns on him, gets the takedowns, Ode's gonna lose this fight. He is very hard matchup for a lot of fighters just due to his speed, because once in that first round, once he starts striking with you, his speed is very fast. Nobody can really understand his speed in the first round. It takes about a round to 2 rounds to fully get the understanding of his speed. But overall, he is a very beatable fighter, in my opinion, just because he can't wrestle that well. He loses every fight that's wrestling's involved in, pretty much, unless he gets a finish in it. But overall, I do think the pick will be Alibi, just due to being the overall better fighter. He has better wrestling, and I do think he will get those takedowns. All right, we got Chidi. We got Carlos Leal. Chidi 5-4 in the UFC. Finished 3 of 4 times when he is lost. He is a striker. He doesn't want to wrestle. He just wants to stand there, have kind of like a kickboxing fight, go for a KO. He uses his reach and his height to his advantage every fight. He's going to do a lot of jabs, a lot of kicks, a lot of teeps. Overall, he's going to try to keep Carlos Leal at bay, but Leal's going to look to just start pressuring him, try to come out hot, in my opinion, because he is coming off a KO loss. It's either he comes out hot looking for a KO against Chidi, or he's taking his time, kind of scared to get KO'd again, because that's what happens to a lot of fighters, and at least in the UFC level, they get knocked out, they start kind of fighting like a pussy. But in my opinion, if he continues to do what he's been doing in his last couple fights, he should be okay. But I do have Chidi here because I do think he overall is the better fighter here, at least striking wise. Carlos, he's not bad on the feet, but he just leaves his chin open too much. He is way too confident in his striking and his power that he thinks he can keep his hands down a lot of the times, and he's going to get chinned again. Zach Reese, Michel Pereira. I don't think there's much of an explanation here. Pereira's washed, plus Zach Reese. Can't go against Zach Reese. Nah, I'm kidding. So, alright, so we got Zach Reese, Michel Pereira. Overall, I do have Zach Reese winning this fight. It's not much of a breakdown here, but Pereira, he's a good striker. He does a lot of like flips, and he wastes a lot of his cardio early on. He wastes a lot of his energy, and overall, Kyle Dawkins owns him. So if you lose to Kyle Dawkins, you're gonna lose to Zach Reese. MMA math doesn't work, but I'm using it here kind of. Plus, Zach Reese is better wrestler, better striker. Overall, just better. Jacoby Smith, Josiah Harrell. Jacoby, his cardio's not fully there. If he didn't waste a lot of energy, he would be 100% fine. He'd look like a very scary prospect coming up. He still is very scary due to his KO power, but he does have very good wrestling, and it was shown in the Nico Price fight. If he manages cardio well, I think he could be unstoppable. He could definitely be in the top 5, but he needs to manage that cardio well. He needs to be more of a MMA fighter, not a kickboxer, in my opinion. Josiah, he's not much on him, not much tape I could find on him. There was some tape, but it was not UFC level, in my opinion. He is very solid. I do think he could be a solid prospect in the UFC at some point, but I don't see him beating Jacoby Smith or any of these guys in this division right now. He almost got a fight on the Volkanovski and Rodriguez card, but he had to pull out, I believe, due to a brain infection or a brain disease, which is very unfortunate. I believe he is good now, which is very good, but I just don't think he's UFC ready just yet. All right, so we got Sergey the Fat Blob Spivak. We got Ante Delije. I don't know if I'm saying that right, saying it wrong, whatever. He's going to look for an easy tune-up fight here. Spivak's a bum. I don't think he's that good, to be honest. He did last 3 rounds against Costa, but against Costa, you got to pressure him. He's not really going to pressure you too much. He's not going to look for a KO if it's not there. He wants you to come to him and then knock you out. Spivak, he's very tough, but he has been finished a lot. I do think Ante will finish him here. I do think he will finish him within the first round or 2. All right, we got Dan, the parlay seller, Ike versus Costa. Costa riding a crazy 5-fight winning streak. Very good wrestler, very good striking. Overall, he's a very good contender in that division right now. My opinion on Ike, though, I hate him. He fucking blows. He's a solid striker, good power. Against Pitbull, he looked horrible. I have never seen a fighter fight like that it's crazy. It's like, what was it? Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. Them just standing there. Pitbull just, hit him with some kicks, hit him with a couple jabs. Overall, he just outclassed him just due to Ige he's standing around watching the birds. Like, he's, picking flowers, picking grass, like you would when you're like 4 or 5 years old playing baseball or soccer. He just didn't do enough to even be in that fight, to be honest. He wasn't really even in that fight. Pitbull kind of showed him why Ige won't be a top 5 fighter in the UFC in that division, because he just sucks, to be honest. If you aren't going to brawl with him like that, he's not going to win. It worked against Sean Woodson, but if you aren't going to strike with him like that, get into a little brawl, he's not going to find success. Jeff Neal, Medic. Medic is a very questionable pick in this fight, just because he has a questionable chin. He has crazy KO power, though. He's never gone the distance in the UFC. He's a finished or be finished type of guy. Get the finish or be finished type of guy. Neal, tested vet, good striker. He mixes it up. He is very tough to finish unless you're Carlos Prates. He is overall, he has good KO power. He's overall a solid fighter. I am going to pick Neal in this fight because I do think he will get it done against a Medic. I don't think Medic is that good. I didn't think he was going to win his last fight, but he did get the KO. I just can't trust his questionable chin. I wouldn't be surprised if Medic gets the win here, but overall, I'm going to go with Jeff Neal just being overall better. All right, so we got Strickland, we got Anthony Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez, I think he's overrated as fuck. Overall, he's a solid striker. He has good wrestling. He beat a 37-year-old Delize, though, which is kind of crazy to think about. But he is a solid contender, but I don't think he's ready for a guy like Strickland, DDP, any of those type of guys. Strickland, Deshaun Strickland, what else needs to be said? Obviously, there's going to be lots of teeps, lots of jabs. He has very good takedown defense, but he's not going to stay down if you do get him down. Overall, he's a good wrestler, but he doesn't use it very much. He's going to want to strike. Overall, I do think Strickland will win it. I think it's a 3-round fight, 29-28. If anything, he is going to win a very close decision here. I do think Hernandez will get a 1 round, but I do not think he will get anything more than a round, just due to his kind of basic style. Not basic style, but he likes to strike a little bit, then he likes to wrestle. So it's very predictable, and at least to me, how he's going to fight. And I do think Strickland will be ready to fight a guy like him, especially coming off 2 fights against DDP. Overall, I think Strickland is just going to piece him up and overall jab and teep him to a decision.